Hello, and welcome to this short video on CONNX Data Sync, moving your data in near real time. I'm Eric Wood, Principal Systems Engineer with Software AG Government Solution. This video today is explained to you our CONNX solution, which enables you to use our powerful SQL engine to access your relational and non-relational business data. CONNX can be used to unlock your organizational legacy data and make it accessible for direct data access, data visualization, data virtualization, and for the topic of this video, data movement. And this all can be done at a fraction of time and cost required for conventional in-house implementation. CONNX offers real-time read-write SQL access using open data access standards to virtually any legacy or relational data source. It can join multiple data sources no matter where they reside, giving you a single view of your data as if it exists in a single relational database. Now, Data Sync can move a complete snapshot of a predefined list of tables, views, or complex transformations to a target operational data source, regardless again of where it resides and what platform. We have access to over 150 different adapters to get access to this backend data. And then within the tool, it allows you to incrementally update the current snapshot of the data through a simple to use scheduling interface. With that done, this accomplishes the goal of near real-time data synchronization. So let me demonstrate to you in these 3 simple steps how to prepare the data, extract the metadata of the files in the view, load the data to the target databases by using our newly released Data Sync interface, which is a REST service that runs on a Windows server and can be accessed via any web browser via HTTP. So let's get started with the demo. Let's get started preparing the data. In order to prepare the data, we need to build a Cdd file that contains the metadata about the source data and the target databases. So in order to do this, you open up the data dictionary, CONNX Data Dictionary, do import, and you have the option, since we're going to be doing database to SQL Server, you have the options of importing these different types of data structures. In this case, you can either use an FTT, but I've already prepared a sysobjh file. I'm going to select that, and the database that I'm working with is database 12, and I've already created an ODBC data set, and the machine is on localhost, and my user ID and password. I select OK, and it selects the 2 famous database and database and vehicles files. Do OK, and then it's going to ask me about the MUs and PEs. By default, it's all down to 5, but you can always change that. So I have the first structure. Here's my source structure. So now I need to build who I'm connecting to. In this case, it's SQL Server. So I choose SQL Server. In the SQL Server, from this point, I will select an OLADB provider, and I will go with the default. I need to put a name of the server that I'm working with, and the user ID and password of the authorized user. Select the database. So we're going to be working with a database called Replicator, and we're going to test the connection. Great connection. We click OK. From this point, we have nothing there, so we say OK. So we've just prepared the data, getting the data ready to be built. Now, before I continue on, we have to save this. So I'm going to save this file, And I'm going to give it a name called Database to SQL Server. And I'm going to do save. Now I'm going to open up the tool for SQL Server. Here's our database, and I just want to let you see that there are no tables existing so far with database with vehicles and employees file. So now that we have prepared the data, let's go to the next two steps. By using the CONNX Data Sync Administrator, which is a new GUI interface, we will now extract the metadata from the Cdd file as well as load the data into the SQL Server database. So our first step is to log in as our administrator with the credentials. Then after we log in, we need to browse for the Cdd file that we just created. Once we browse for it, we need to now log into that particular Cdd file. Once we log in, we need to also check to see which database is our target. In this case, it's the SQL Server database. After we successfully logged in, we get a list of tables that are associated with that Cdd file. So from this step, you just select all of the tables that you would like to sync up, and we issue the sync command. You have different synchronization types. We can talk to this. Automatic means whether or not it's going to do a full load, or there are incremental steps. And in our next demo, we'll talk about all these different options. But let's just get the data installed. We do OK, and you see there's a meter telling what's going on. And when we hit the refresh, it lets us know that we had 10 success synchronizations, and that's all based on the MUs and PE fields because it separates them out as well. And this is how many rows and tables belong with each table. Now, let me look at the tool, go back to the SQL Server tool, and do a refresh of our database. And we can see now that we should have tables that exist that deals with the employees file and the vehicles file. And if we run a query, we should actually see the data. Now, what I want you to see here and notice that the middle name for a few of these records are null. I'm going to run a little small program that makes some changes and see the data being synchronized instantly. So here's my little program that I'm going to run. It's probably going to time out when I first start out. Okay, so I'll go back into the data sync, and under my tables, I select all of the tables again. Well, I could have just done a few, but let's just do the sync there because I'm not sure what the program does. And we'll see things moving and things been changing. And then when we do a refresh, we can see that there were 32 updates and 1 insert that was done to that particular database. All right, and if we go over to the tool and we re-execute, remember the middle name, we re-execute that, you should see now that the middle names have been populated. All right, so that's how quickly you can set up a data sync to replicate data from wherever your data source resides to what your target database will be. Now, what we're going to do in our next video, we're going to talk about setting up transformations, defining groups and schedules. So the schedule will allow you to set it up for near real time. So if I just go employees and I select one table just for now, and this sets up my frequency. I want it done either daily, weekly, monthly, how often. So if we set it up for every minute starting from today and hit next, it's going to ask what type of synchronization type, so I'm going to leave it at automatic at this time, but you can change this based on which files, how vulnerable they will be. So you will set those different options up, as well as these are other different synchronization tasks that can be performed. And now you have just set up a schedule to make this near real time as possible. So if we go back to the table and overview, we'll start noticing that some changes will be taking place in 1 minute. There's been a change there. It's the synchronization, but nothing's actually happened. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go back and put this program back to normal, and I'm going to run it. Remember, we started at this time point at 9:01. And at 9:02, so at 9:02, there were your updates and everything reset back to normal. And if you come back over to the database and you run this, you'll see now that the middle names have been reverted back to nulls. Well, that was a quick look at how Data Sync works. Stay tuned for further videos and showing you some different things. The next one will cover the topic of transformation within Data Sync. Thank you, and you have a good day.